Hey folks, it's Michael here again, back. I am alive. Back with the CCERP podcast. It's been a long time since we've done an episode, but we've all been busy, some of us, during the COVID quarantine thing. I've been busy teaching online, helping people out, doing a lot of stuff with high school students there. But that's been kind of crazy. Got the little time now, can finally do something, get back into doing some podcasts, hopefully, get more people on. But I hope you're doing well and you're getting outdoors and enjoying nature and being a good human being. We should be true to our nature, and part of that is being true to nature. So today, on our show, we have Kimberly Beck. I'll put some stuff in the show notes for you. Some podcasts she's done you can listen to other than this one. And and Kimberly, I've been so dang busy I forgot. If you could send a picture I could put up with this episode, that would be nice.
Oh, I will surely send you one.
Cool. So, could you say hi and introduce yourself to the folks, please?
Greetings, everyone. My name is Kimberly Beck, and I am speaking to you from Golden, Colorado. It is a lovely day here. I'm up on my ranch west of Golden in the foothills on a little mountain called Lookout Mountain. And I'm actually looking out the window right now at our little Douglas fir forest, and weaved into the woods are horses. We've got 3 horses here on our little 1-acre ranch.
What kind?
We've got Mr. Dylan and Moon and Little Spirit. And it's a lovely day to be sitting here and chatting. We've got 2 large quarter horses. Dylan and Moon are quarter horses, and one is a racing quarter horse, one is a cow quarter horse. And then Little Spirit is a Welsh mountain pony. And my whole life I always wanted a pony, and now I have my very own little pony. Yeah. Cool. She's pretty sweet.
Cool. What's your background? Like what do you do now? What's your training?
What do I do now? I do a number of things right now. I guess primarily everything that I do falls under an umbrella that I call relational rewilding nature guiding. And under that, I teach nature education classes such as edible and medicinal plants, getting to know your bioregion, animal tracking, bird language, those types of fun things. And then I also do some nature connection facilitation for groups and for individuals. I also do ecotherapy or nature-based therapy under relational rewilding as well. And all of them, sometimes they all blend into one. A number of my therapy sessions will always weave in nature connection and a little bit of even nature education. But connecting people with nature, with other species, with the elements, and with their local bioregion is a passion of mine. So I decided to put all of that together under relational rewilding, and depending on what kind of requests I get, sometimes I do speaking gigs. I teach also for some other organizations such as Denver Botanic Gardens and some Audubon societies. I run my own classes. I also do a little dog training on the side. Mm-hmm. And
puppies only.
Helping people. Puppies only, though. I could be selective. I choose
puppies
whatever clients I want. Right? No one can say no to the puppies. Yeah, that's the quick and dirty of what I do: nature connection, nature education, and nature therapy.
And who are some of the people you've worked with? Like, are you certified in tracking? You just learned it on your own, or like what?
I just learned it on my own, really. I love learning, and so for the past, however old I am, but I guess really for the past probably 25 years, I've been just engaging in learning on my own, as well as learning from many other teachers and trainers. So I have attended, went down to the tracking project in New Mexico, spent some time down there. I've gone to Wilderness Awareness School up in Washington. I've done a number of herbology trainings, native plant master trainings, native master naturalist trainings here in Colorado. I've done a couple of those. The Forager's Path down in Arizona. Eight Shields Institute, done a couple trainings with them in California and online. And then just my lifestyle. I like to revolve my life around doing these pieces, which is really how you learn. So it's been kind of just a lifetime accumulation of doing that, and which has all helped me help other people to essentially just pay more attention, be more aware, and to begin to learn the essence of some of these skills.
Cool. Yeah, nice. I'd like to do more of that stuff sometime too. Go to some places and train under some certified trackers or whatever like that. I haven't had a chance yet, but that'd be cool. But yeah, it's like I'm just
a lot to do.
Out on my own a lot though, and I'll look at Animals Don't Cover Their Tracks on Facebook, run by Kim Cabrera. You know her, big tracker in the U.S.
I don't know her.
Yeah, but it's a great site. But I think now, it was smaller when I first got on, and now it might have like 15,000 people or something. But
wow.
It's a great place for learning because there's animal tracks and some wildlife from all around the world. People looking at all kinds of different tracks, asking what they are. Excuse me. Some very knowledgeable folks on it. And unlike some places on Facebook, on this place, it's actually nice and people are actually learning stuff. You know, instead of being jerks. Instead of
being hard with one another.
Yeah.
Yes, the request is always be respectful. Need a little bit more of that these days.
Truth. But
I think some of those skills teach that. Maybe I think when you're actually in the field. I mean, to me, a part of what animal tracking teaches is empathy, and teaches how to be respectful. And so, same with the birds, same with the plants, because you can't teach about any one of those pieces without it connecting to all of the others.
Yeah. And
it's hard to track without getting into the mind and body of the animal. And of course, it's always helpful for us to get in somebody else's paws or shoes. And that's a significant way of, I think, how humans have learned to be other-oriented is through some of these practices. So I can see how it can be challenging online.
Yeah.
We have our little online avatars that can get more offended, but I think when you're in the dirt and you're with other people and you're exploring and you're in the minds of the animals, I think something shifts in us.
Yeah, I've noticed sometimes when I'm out, I do different things, so this doesn't always happen all the time. I'm very much kind of multitasking when I'm out because there's a lot you can do. Study nature, be on the alert for it, look at plants, track, exercise, pick up trash, all this stuff. So it kind of depends on what I'm focusing on at the time. But yeah, I know there's sometimes when I just, because of what I'm doing, all of a sudden I feel like without it being deliberate, like I'm a deer, or I'm a coon, or I'm a bobcat, I'm going after something, and all of a sudden I feel that way. Or even like today, I was out for 2 or 3 hours, and then there was some points where I'm moving through the woods. I just feel like I'm a Native American Indian who lived here at the time. I feel like I'm identifying exactly with them, moving through the environment really slow and kind of being at one with it. It's in our basic
finding that
nature.
point of blending.
Yeah. Instead of, because like I heard some phrase, saying one time, I don't remember what book this is in, but just as the way some people were at the time, not as a racist thing, but as a way some cultures are, but like it said, Indians move with the woods, white men move through the woods. So I'm feeling I'm out moving more with it and not just like crashing through it.
Right. Exactly.
So it's awesome. It's like today, so I was out sometimes of necessity. I've got to move really slow so I don't get a branch or a leaf in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want that. Then I don't want my contacts knocked out. And there's a bunch of, I'm out, shirts hanging on my belt, cargo shorts, barefoot. So I got to move really slow so my shirt doesn't get snagged up in some brambles.
Mm-hmm.
Or you got to watch where you're stepping, look for animals, look for this, the ground's uneven. And you get in the habit of moving really slow. And you're just like, everything just sinks. Time's like stopping. It's moving, but it's stopping all at once. And like the detail and the whole are all there at once. And
totally.
it's just so awesome. There's like,
to me, it's like a point of flow.
Yeah.
Where there isn't much time and you're completely present, which is how we're designed to be. Present and attentive,
mm-hmm.
paying attention, and blending.
Yeah. But it's like
a pretty sweet place to be.
Because people are so used to going fast, 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 but you're out there and you got to move really slow and go through the things and flow, and it's just something people need to experience themselves. I was going to say it's awesome, but it's like, not quite.
Well, I think it's hard. It's hard at first for people. A client that I had up at our property yesterday, that was a piece of what I was working with her. I've only seen her a couple of times. And everybody comes up with their way of being and walking in the world. And we have on our property kind of like a little demarcation line where it's on one side is the realm of human artifacts. And then you kind of go through this little, I call it the portal. Actually, one of my clients actually named it the portal. And when you walk through the portal, it's like you're in a different world, which is the world of the woods. And so we talk about the difference, like physically, energetically between those two worlds, and what do we shift within ourselves, moving from the world of human artifacts to moving toward the world where we are not the dominant feature, where it's the wildlife and the trees and the fungi that are the dominant ones. And people always know how to be in there. Mm-hmm. I ask them, even though they don't do this often, and I'm just like, I'll just be like, so how would we be in here that's different than out here? And they're like, well, probably pay attention more. I'm like, that's a good idea. I'm like, well, probably move slower. I'm like, all right, we'll give it a whirl. And they just list everything that you do when you're tracking or when you are trying to blend in with your environment. I think we instinctively know what to do. Even when I get major city folk up here, they know exactly what to do. They all answer the same things. And then they shift. I'm not even telling them what to do. So then they shift as we walk through the quote portal.
Cool.
And as they do that, they start to change because they're being other aware as well as being more aware of how they are in their body. And then that leads to a whole bunch of fun stuff. But yeah, so I was doing that just with a client yesterday. It was a lot of fun.
Cool, yeah. But I was trying to think of the word for it. I don't know if we ever have a really word. Probably have some concept in our language I just can't think of, but part of it would just be being more holistic. And as I say, for some, you just got to experience it. But that was nice. Mm-hmm. But I got out for a good 2 or 3 hours. So
awesome. Which probably helps to feed you for the rest of the day.
It's needed for my psychology and my well-being and everything. I can tell the difference.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
People say, like some health experts or some government stuff, half an hour a day, 3 times a week. But I've heard that some of that is just people used to recommend more, but I think they lower the number so people in the culture in general don't get discouraged. I can't do an hour a day. So if they say instead of what you really need, if they say half hour a day, 3 hours, half hour a day, 3 times a week, some people will be more likely to do it. And I tried that 3 days a week thing, and it doesn't work for me. I need like
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 hours every day if I'm gonna
Yeah.
be a good human being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think us Homo sapiens need that consistency. Again, that's what we're designed to move. We're designed to be outside. We're designed to be relating with other species. And so, yeah, that lowering that bar, that bare minimum, I think has an impact.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that based on our new lifestyles, our modern day lifestyles, our postmodern lifestyles, that 3 times a week is good for some people. And I say, okay,
Better
we'll
than
take
nothing.
what we can
Yeah.
get. Yeah, totally.
Just like
Yep.
one glass of water is better than no water at all.
Right. Yeah. But always drink more.
Yeah.
When you can. Yeah.
But on your background, though, do you have any? Did you go to college at all, or do you have any like degrees or anything like that?
I got a couple. Where are the colleges? It's always funny. I think I went to 5 colleges.
Oh, cool.
My family laughs. I like novelty. I like to move around. I like change. And I kept changing my mind of what I wanted to do, even though it was all online. Yeah, I guess academically, my bachelor's degree, I went to 4 undergraduate schools. I ended up graduating from Ohio University in Athens, Ohio. Go Bobcats. Speaking of Bobcats.
Hey, I have a Bobcat shirt on, everybody.
Yeah, totally. Beautiful, beautiful area. I loved that school. But I studied outdoor education and plant biology and ecology there.
Nice.
So yeah, that was kind of the foundation of at least learning more detail specific stuff about my bioregion.
2 degrees?
That started when I was, well, the outdoor education and then my master's degree. So yeah, the outdoor education and plant biology was in Ohio. And then I took a couple of years off, and then I went, then I worked in animal welfare and did some animal rights stuff for a while, and then in environmentalism. And then I got a calling to go to graduate school for counseling, which was a shocker to my spirit. That was not on the game plan at all. But I felt at some point it was like, okay, I felt like I was just putting Band-Aids on everything. Working in animal welfare and animal rights and environmentalism, and it was exhausting, and it was incredibly sad. I'm a very sensitive person, and it was getting pretty depressing for me. And I felt like I needed to get more to the root of what was happening and what I was dealing with in those fields. So at some point, the little voice in my head was like, go to grad school for counseling. And I'm like, oh my God. But I just started following instructions, and I did some research, and within 3 months I was in grad school for counseling. It was weird. It all just fell into place, which is information. I mean, I felt like that was how smooth it all went, was information for me that was the right track. And really that was just about trying to get to the roots of why humans are doing what we're doing, and at the root of all of the destruction that we're causing. I felt like I needed to go into the psychological aspect of us. So that's what I did. And so that was at Colorado State University. That's where I got my master's degree in counseling. And while I was there, really all of the work that I did in the graduate school was revolved still around nature, because I was coming from that field. I was coming from environmental education and environmentalism. So I was wanting to blend the two. So all my projects and presentations were on wilderness therapy and nature therapy, and I couldn't find actually a lot about that at the time. I mean, it was definitely a thing, but it wasn't as big as it is now. And so I just started getting creative with it, and I was like, this is kind of cool. I think I want to blend these two. I want to blend people and nature. And I'd already been teaching people nature in all my environmental education work, but I wanted it to have a little bit more soul to it, and for it to not just be a brief experience. I wanted it to be something that they carried with them and that impacted who they were. Mm-hmm. And so I just started blending the two, and after I graduated, I started immediately taken people outside, actually just in private practice, and another therapist that I worked for up in Fort Collins in her private practice, and started taking clients outside and making stuff up because nobody was teaching me how to do nature-based therapy. I was just trying to blend my worlds and creating experiments and just seeing what happened. It was pretty successful, and I just keep growing with it. Yeah, it's pretty great.
Dr. Maria Montessori, you know Montessori, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dr. Maria Montessori, she herself was a scientist when she was developing her stuff. And she said, under her or one of her followers, like, I don't remember the whole entire quote, but part of it is every teacher should be a scientist.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Learn how to observe, learn how to pay attention.
Pay attention to the people
perceive
you're teaching. Yeah.
Reality. Yeah. Yep.
And so you're finding nature helps counseling, and counseling helps people appreciate nature.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, I think both right now at this time, practitioners and clients are both wanting some alternative ways of interacting.
Unfortunately, I think I don't like the alternative thing sometimes. I think it's alternative to what's being done, but I think what's being done is an alternative to what we need to do.
Yes. I know there's a number of fields like that where it's like oh, herbalism is an alternative way. It's like, actually that's thousands of years older than the medical model. So actually the medical model is the alternative way. Yes.
Where do some drugs come from? Where does aspirin come from? Where does this other stuff come from?
Right.
Herbals.
Yeah. But the traditional means of modern day psychotherapy, of meeting people in an office, I think they're wanting change. They're both therapists and clients, and so there's a lot of shifts happening, I think, in the therapeutic world, and people are reaching out to different ways and means of working with people, whether that be with art therapy, more somatic therapies, wilderness therapies, adventure therapies, equine therapies, horticulture, animal assisted, me doing ecotherapy or nature-based therapy. I use that interchangeably. And I think we're finding that there's more, I think clients participate with it better. It's challenging and intimidating to go into a small room and to sit face to face with someone with your vulnerabilities. That's a challenging place to be. And working in some of these alternative ways starts to shift the focus from just the relationship of being between therapist and client, and it starts to shift the focus to the relationship between the client and themselves, the client and the environment, the client and the animal that you're working with, the client and the landscape that you're on. So like, while of course the relationship with the therapist is a primary importance and it's a foundational piece, part of a major piece of my role is actually facilitating therapy between client and whomever else I'm working with, whether that be with trees, whether that be with our horses up here, whether that be with the deer that come through our yard, whether that be through their own nervous system and how they respond to the stimuli in the world. It's less about just relationship between me and them. And it's more me facilitating relationship. Anyway, right. And to help them then transfer that back into their personal lives.
Because a therapist isn't going to be there forever and isn't there 24/7. They got to be able to handle it on their own.
We want to be out of a job.
Yeah. Right. But then I'll try to remember.
All of the fields I've worked in, I always want to be out of a job.
Yeah. If some folks want to see some other things about this, some people might think that's alternative, that's wacko, but Heroes for Horses, or Horses for Heroes, actually, sorry. I think that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
A group, I forget, Midwest, a little bit more in the West. Veterans take veterans out into the wilderness to help them recover from trauma and so on.
Mm-hmm.
or
Sure.
there's organizations that take soldiers, or maybe sometimes women only, on raft rides down rivers where they got to face wilderness and deal with things themselves to help heal.
Right.
Montessori was very nature based, gardening and all this.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, that contact and those relationships are incredibly important, and they're part of who we are as animals on the planet. We're supposed to be interacting with all of these.
And that's one thing there too. You say you got to get to the foundation of some of this, and one thing going on is that some people think they're social animals only. They don't grasp that we're animals. They want to resist it. I even listened to someone talking recently on some podcast. Yeah, STEM Talk, really good podcast. Some scientists saying how, talking about how we're animals, and some people in the audience were like, "What? I'm not an animal."
Yeah, I know. I know.
So.
And I speak to that a little bit in, some of the workshops that I do when I do just some general rewilding workshops. That's a big piece that I bring up, and I go back to taxonomy and classification and how all living things are, classified, and their family and their genus, their species, and all point to different aspects of nature and our horses and people's dogs and the Douglas fir outside and the dandelions. And I'm saying, dandelion is Taraxacum officinale and Douglas fir is Pseudosugum menziesii, and our horses are Equus and we are Homo sapiens. We are also part of that classification system. We are also a part of nature. And talk a little bit about our Homo sapien history and how long we've been around. And, we've got at least Homo sapiens, we've got about a 300,000 year history. And there's a lot there in our modern day lifestyle, which holds a paradigm of separation, is actually incredibly new. It's incredibly new. We have been living with other species and in relationship with the elements and aware of our bioregion and where everything is and where everything grows and when and how and why for hundreds of thousands of years, if we're talking about Homo sapiens. And if we're talking about our ancestors, other species in the Homo genus, then we're talking a couple million years. And so to me, this is part of what I take into consideration when whether I'm teaching somebody in a nature education class, whether I'm facilitating nature education or I'm facilitating nature therapy, is I'm taking that context into consideration and I'm trusting it. Like, I'm trusting our history and that it's still in our DNA and it's still what our DNA expects from us, despite how we're living now and despite our immediate family or immediate society, because who we are is actually expands out to much larger circles than just the immediacy of 1 to 2 generations back. And to me, without that context, we're missing a big piece of who we are and how we can restore wellness. I say biology changes way slower than our lifestyle does. Way slower than technology. All of our lifestyle and technology and medicine and everything is developing so fast, but our biology is much slower. And I think we need to remember that when we're considering our health, our wellness on a physical, psychological, emotional, spiritual level. And that's part of what I like to touch in on my work with people, whether it be in workshops or in therapy.
Yeah. They didn't draw the same conclusion from it, and that wasn't the point. But there's an old Norse story, I think it's Norse, about one god or one person racing someone else and being unable to beat him. And then he finds out at the end he was racing thought. It's like, no wonder. You can't outrun thought.
Yeah. Yeah, and thought's a tricky one. You know, I try to make it a good thing at first. I'm like, if you weren't thinking, then you probably wouldn't be alive.
Mm-hmm.
So we can give thanks that our minds are functioning if you're continuing to think. And how can we have a little bit of mastery over that aspect of us?
Yeah,
and a piece of how I work with thoughts with nature is through our senses. It's difficult to be thinking about the past and the future when you're engaged in the present moment in your sensory systems.
Yeah.
Usually we're doing one or the other. And so people come up here and they're spinning or they're activated in some way, stepping people into their senses. That's usually one of the very first things that I do with anybody that comes up here. Just helps calm their nervous system and helps to slow the thought process down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from a different perspective, I find that in philosophy. Bad influence from Plato, Freud, Descartes, some people like that. I think, from the way I see it, I think Western culture, it's very schizophrenic. Some people try to present it as monolithic about some things, but I think it's not every individual, but as a culture, I think it's schizophrenic. Fundamentally, Plato versus Aristotle. Aristotle about being connected to the senses. Every all concept should come from that. And Plato, dismissing the senses. You turn inside your head. And so you have to be. So I think, and it comes up in schools, the way we're taught. It can be hard to really, just like gravity. It can be hard to get people to get their finger on what's really going on, or how gravity affects our health. If we didn't have astronauts, I don't think people would know how we really need how they wouldn't have the contrast to see how gravity's so fundamental in all these different things in our lives. And I think some of the philosophies like that implicit in our culture too. I mean, no telling how some of this comes up in furniture, housing, design of subdivisions, but I think with Plato, you just can't be whole. With the W. With Aristotle, I think there's that ability to see what's really going on, and so we can really be whole, entire as a person on a basic level. Got to get that philosophy right, see what human nature is.
Well, I think part of that philosophy, getting the philosophy right, is in the lived experiences instead of thinking about it.
Yeah.
And to me, that is a part of getting people in contact with the natural world and them having their own personal experiences to draw from, instead of thinking about somebody else's.
Right.
Whether it be Plato's or Aristotle's, that's somebody else's experience. And I'm like, what's yours?
Yeah.
Whoever's in front of me, what is your experience of this moment right now? What's meaningful to you? How do you experience the world? How do you experience relationship? And letting them to establish their own value system and their own philosophies instead of borrowing from someone else's. Yeah. And I think it's important to be influenced by them, because we all are on a socialized level, whether we know it or not. But I like to continue to redirect people just back to themselves. Yeah. And to help them to be other aware, so they can even be aware of the experience of other beings around them, whether it be humans or animals, so they can be aware of their impact and their influence on one another and on the planet.
Yeah, learn. Because you see among people and among how people treat some animals, you need to learn what they are and not what you want them to be. Learn to ask, don't tell. I see that. You're a jerk. You did this. You did. Like, can you ask me what I'm like? Or, wasps are horrible. We got to kill them. Like, did you know that we probably wouldn't be alive if it weren't for wasps, because they control insects, and there's thousands of species of wasp, and you're talking about only maybe a few. And as Bruce Lee would say, open your mind.
Open your mind.
Be like wasps.
Your cup is already full, right?
Yeah.
Well, and like that's what you just said is another piece that I will do with people sometimes, which is if somebody makes a statement, I'll be like, can you create a question with that? Just to create a shift. I don't want to shame people for what they bring, because chances are they were socialized with it.
We all make mistakes. I sure the hell did.
Well, and I do it I still do it, but I do it because it's automatic, because it's the society that we live in and it's what we're surrounded by.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just habitual beings. And so we take on what is being modeled to us. And I still do it. And how can we shift our assumptions, our judgments, our interpretations, at minimum, into a question and into curiosity? And I mean, that falls into a major, I guess, precept that, as far as theoretical approach goes, I don't know if you're familiar. My primary theoretical psychological approach is through Gestalt. If anybody here knows the therapeutic world at all, they'll be familiar with Gestalt as a modality. And one of the basic precepts in Gestalt is what we call the I-thou relationship, which is essentially us walking through the world, having a subjective relationship and a curiosity about not just myself and my own experience in any given moment, but of others. So I'm always aware that you're having an experience of me just as valid as and important as my experiences of you. Most of us walk through the world, again, kind of in a subconscious way, in an I-it relationship with the world. It's what's happening for me, what's going on for me, what do I have to do today, what am I thinking, what am I wanting? And everything else outside is more of an it, is more of an object. And it's in our language too. And I take people outside, and the language that everybody uses outdoors is, oh, look, it's over there. And they're referring to the deer. Or like, oh, what is it? When they ask me about the plant. Or, it is kind of the primary pronoun for anything outside of humans. But I try to walk through the world, and I try to model and invite people into holding that sense of I-thou versus I-it with themselves, with other people, and with essentially the rest of creation. And it really starts to shift how you perceive and who you see, and it starts to shift how you influence the world and influence others. And it's actually it's much more empowering than an I-it relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I-it is the foundation of all the racism that we're experiencing right now.
Yeah.
It's all I-it. It's all, I don't care what your experience is. I have no questions for you. I already know. I know you.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll tell you what you are.
Yeah, it is. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But one thing I wanted to ask on when you said, when they'll make a statement, you'll say, make it a question. Do you have an example on that? What's an example you can give about what you mean by that?
I guess, I mean, if we were sitting outside, and if just even using your wasp, example, and a wasp came up and you started smacking at him and hitting him, and you're getting ready to grab a book to go.
Okay, wait 1 second, folks. Okay, I'm not the one that would. She's talking about
you were
me.
Definitely not
earlier,
the one that would do
I talked
this.
about some people I bring out in the woods and they're scared of wasps. So she's not talking about me. I'm just in the example. This is rhetorical. I do not swat wasps. I like them.
Michael loves
I have plenty
wasps.
of videos on the internet to prove it. Okay, so go ahead, Kimberly. Sorry. I just wanted to clarify that for the record.
That's the disclaimer.
Okay. Now,
it doesn't have to be you.
It
can be Joe. Joe does not like wasps. And maybe he's making some comments about it. And I might just say, I'm just like, can we just take a break? And I'm just curious of what kind of question you would have about these wasps and why they do what they do. Something. I would just invite somebody to be like, what question do you have about them? It could be that simple. And one is that people don't expect it. So it kind of catches them off guard a little bit. People usually expect you to agree with them.
I get to
Everybody hates wasps.
You care about my opinion?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people even get uncomfortable. I think a lot of people are people pleasers to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. If somebody makes an uncomfortable joke, whether it be about somebody that they care about, whether it be something political, whether it be about an animal, whatever it is, and if somebody's laughing because they're maybe making fun of someone, we will tend to laugh with them just so they don't feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it takes a lot of courage to not do that and to potentially just invite them to, like, oh, I wonder if you have a question about them instead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, what? You're not making me comfortable by laughing with me and agreeing with me. It's like, yeah, you're right, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's just a way of shifting. And I think that's, I mean, just a simple, small step like that is part of what we need to be doing these days. We all need to be a little bit more uncomfortable with how we relate to one another and to be challenged on some pieces in a respectful way.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of us, again, we've all been socialized to certain degrees, and it would behoove us to challenge some of the unspoken rules that have shaped who we are and how we treat others.
Yeah. The social thing is great. It's part of our nature. We should be that way. We are. We have to be. It's just a matter of doing it right and not doing it wrong. Unfortunately, look in our history, too many people do the social thing wrong. But we're not going to fix that unless we, as you say, like challenge it and get people to think and make it better.
Yeah, just inviting people into some new perspective, some new way of being. And sometimes it's got to be more than an invitation. Sometimes you actually got to set a line and be like, actually, what you just did isn't okay with me.
Yeah. And
be a little bit more. But of course, there's a million examples of those, and it's very dependent. It's just very context dependent on how one responds and how one is comfortable in responding to something.
And the more we practice, the better we get at it. So eventually, it's not so confrontational or antagonistic.
Right.
And eventually, you can do it as a friend.
Totally.
It doesn't have to be this traumatic thing where, oh, you're disagreeing. You could do it in a positive, friendly way where you get along still. Disagree positively.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah, I do think that that's possible. Yeah. And it requires us all taking a lot of deep breaths.
Yeah. Breathing is good.
It's challenging.
Yeah.
One of the best ways we can help to ground ourselves is taking some breaths in those conversations.
And so you think you couldn't really do some of the stuff you're doing? It wouldn't be possible to do it so much indoors. It's like the nature of nature and the nature of people. We need to be out in the wilderness and the outdoors and nature to be doing some of this counseling and psychological repair and making ourselves better.
I think it's an optimal way of doing it. Again, because the actual behavior of being outside reawakens just more of who we are. How the stimuli that's out in nature is actually much more balanced than it is in indoor settings. There's so many more colors, there's so many more textures, there's so many more sounds.
True.
And they all end up on a sensory level kind of balancing each other out. And the unevenness of the ground and the variety of temperatures and dealing with all of and working with all of the different species. I mean, there's so much out there that is rich for us to work with and is live, and it is all part of the relationships that I'm trying to help to facilitate. When you're indoors, you can still work with nature. There are a lot of ecotherapists that are integrating nature into their office work, and that is definitely a possibility, because sometimes, depending on the context, depending on where you work, depending on insurance, there's a number of logistics that can get in the way of being able to take people outdoors, for sure.
They might have like a room where they got plants inside and maybe some
You
feathers or something like that.
Yeah, a lot of people have a lot of natural objects around the room that have different colors and different textures. They will hopefully have a good window, actually, that the clients are facing. They'll often have plants. They have nature images. Some people have water pieces that make sound. A lot of people work with rocks and like having people touch things while they're engaging. A lot of people do a lot of imagery, like actually standing and having people like embody a tree, or almost standing against the wall and imagining that they're leaning up against trees. Or so I mean, there's things that you can do if you find yourself limited in the ability to take people outdoors. If you can, I recommend it, even if it's like in town. I mean, you do need some level of privacy and quiet that's never going to be full, and that's a part of the discussion that you would have with a client ahead of time. But I mean, nature is everywhere, and you can work with it indoors, and if you can get outside, to me that's the optimal environment, because there's just so much more to work with. There's so much more
And it seems like
to work with that's present centered.
It seems like working in buildings might be necessary for some people as transition. Going from what they're used to outdoors would be way too much. Just like I'm trained in MoveNat, natural movement, and that's what they do. They know that you can't just take some people outdoors and do natural movements right away. Some people you can, and that's, as you say, it's optimal. But you have to give people an opportunity to do some MoveNat stuff in a gym. They got to be in a familiar environment, be somewhere where they can work on these movements. And then, if they have time and opportunity and desire, they can take it outdoors. But they know, for most people, there has to be that transition stage.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. And that's all depending on the person, right? I mean, I typically meet with people inside on the first session, so I can begin to gain more information. Where are you in terms of your relationship with nature? Has there been an injury in your relationship with nature? Because that's a big deal. And that could be something direct or indirect, and
that's
that
an
I would need to know.
There. Sorry to interrupt, but
yeah,
I mean, who the heck would ask that when you go into a psychology session? Has there been an injury with your relationship to nature? But it's so true. It's so right.
It is true.
You're talking about.
I don't necessarily ask it like that.
Yeah.
I usually I don't ask it like that. That's my internal question. I'm wondering, have they had some level of injury in their relationship with nature? And that can be as mild as they just don't have the exposure, so there's fear there, to perhaps they experience some horrible trauma outdoors. A lot of people have been abused outdoors because it's private, or a lot of people have had to escape their home due to natural disasters, and suddenly nature became something that they're averse to. So and there's a whole spectrum of things. So I may ask something like, I might even start big, like what are some significant events in your life? And a lot of people, if people will share, and if it's a significant event, regardless of where it happens, they're going to share that. What are some positive significant events in your life? What were some difficult significant events in your life? And I might even get a little bit more specific. Have you had any significant positive or negative events outdoors? So I would ask like that, not like, what injuries do you have with your relationship with nature? Yeah, that might be.
Please write a 5-paragraph
turn your head a little
essay.
bit, right? Yeah. Right. But that does help to assess appropriateness, either of if it is appropriate to take somebody outside, or to assess at what stage I should. And of course, you're taking in all kinds of information before you do that. I mean, if I'm with somebody that's like a kiddo that's a flight risk, I'm probably not going to take them outside. We need more containment. Or if somebody is violent, that may not be appropriate to go outside. Or if, so there's a number of different contexts or situations where it may not be appropriate or appropriate yet to work with somebody outdoors, and that's just kind of part of the whole assessment and eco-assessment that you would do with somebody in the beginning.
Interesting. What are some things some people might start to do on their own to get outdoors and heal, appreciate the outdoors, help use it to make themselves better psychologically, to help use it as a tool? I don't want to say as a tool on the one hand, but on the other, in a manner of speaking, as a tool, I don't want to done
As a
great.
partner?
You know, yeah, like as a partner to help them
Kind
have
of,
good relationships
you
with
want to
other
ask
people.
the question in an I thou statement, right?
Yeah. Because I know, you know, my experience, I'm out in nature every day. I love it.
Yeah.
I couldn't live properly. I would not be where I am in life, psychologically, mentally, cognitively, emotionally, physically,
Mm-hmm.
in every way. I couldn't be the way I am without having been out in nature as I have the past many, many years.
Totally.
But so yeah, I like appreciate it and respect it. But like, how can people start to get out in nature more and use it to help them get along with other people better, themselves better, the world? What are some things they could do besides call you? Okay. Call Kimberly for a session.
Call Kimberly. Well, I think it depends on.
Speaking of which, wait, first, you do like video stuff too? Like if someone is interested?
You bet.
Yeah, video, and maybe.
Yeah.
So
I can do video therapeutic sessions. I also do some video mentoring, like nature-based nature connection mentoring, as well as I also work with therapists that want to integrate nature into their therapeutic work.
Oh, yeah, cool.
And I've done that in person and online as well.
And someone could, if they want, because I know I've done some of this with teaching. There's a family I know in Minnesota that's homeschooled, and I've used my iPhone to work with them live, teaching them some biology and ecology outdoors in the field right there as I'm there. Yeah, no recording, alive. Look at the plants. So, and that worked. So you could, if someone wants to get their iPhone or whatever phone they have, they could maybe do the same thing with you. Go out somewhere, talk to you that way, not just.
Yeah, if we can get some good service wherever we are, yep, we can definitely. I know, right? There's always a catch somewhere.
Yeah.
In some of the places that we want to be, often we don't have service. But really, I mean, and this actually links in with your original question.
Places to be.
Yeah.
Where we don't have like cell service. Anyway, sorry, I couldn't resist.
Yeah. But linking those two is start with your yard and your neighborhood. I mean, a lot of people that I work with, I mean, they don't know the beings that they share their yard with, or, you know, regardless of where you live, if you're renting a place, like what are the grounds around where you live?
Instead of something to get along with.
Yep.
Flip that, change it, please, people.
Yep. And start by, I know it seems kind of silly, but start by saying hello. You know, to me,
sometimes when I'm out in the woods, sometimes I'm about at the point where I'm about to say, I said hello, damn it.
Well,
but I appreciate it because I know sometimes I'm out there barefoot, shirtless, carrying a bag on my shoulder that's full of trash. They don't know that, so they probably think, do I want to talk to him? He's weird. So I understand that, so I don't really get into it, but
well, but not saying hello to the other humans, saying hello to saying hello to the plants, saying hello to the birds, saying hello to the insects, like learning to greet them and actually treat them as another being that you recognize that they are also having an experience of you. It is not just you having an experience of them.
Yeah.
So when you say hello to someone, that's an invitation for some kind of dialogue, or at least some kind of a greeting, and it's just a polite thing to do. Right? So if I bump into you on the street, right?
I need to broadcast that. Hey, it's good to say hello when someone says hello.
It's good to say hello.
There's actually an Aggie bumper sticker, Texas A&M. It says, howdy, damn it.
You can see how the birds respond to the damn it. I don't know how birds will respond to. I've never tried that. I haven't tried that. Hello, damn it. I have done that with people, though, I think, on accident. I think we're more likely to do that to the humans. I think naturally, if we were to go out and say hello to a bird, damn it would not come out of our mouths. People like animals. people like nature. They really, really do. Even if the deepest city dweller that barely spends any time outside, if you were to ask them, like, do you actually like about and care about nature, they're going to raise their hand. It doesn't mean they spend time in it. It doesn't mean they're necessarily influenced by it. But to me, that's part of our biophilic design. We have a natural affinity toward the natural world and toward animals. And so again, that's part of the trust that I was talking about earlier. I trust that people have that, and I count on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I engage people and I encourage them to begin dialogues with the animals and the squirrels in their yard, and to learn the basic plants around their yard and their neighborhood, they actually want to know who they are. And then I get these stories back, and they're like, oh my gosh, now every morning I say hello to the little family of squirrels that lives in my tree, and it's just so sweet. And now they have babies, and then they start telling me stories. It's like, once you start a little dialogue, then they look again tomorrow, and then they look again the next day. And then the bird, like right now, I'm actually, as I'm speaking to you, there's the little wren that lives in the stump right outside my window, and she's got her little babies there, and she's actually on the windowsill right now. So I'm like, hey, good morning. We hung out a little bit this morning. Yeah. But it's not just a bird, it's a wren, and it's not just a wren, it's that wren. I know where that wren lives, right? And so I'm cultivating deeper connections with all of the living beings just in my immediate vicinity. I do not have to go to the top of a 14er to get that experience, to get that connection, and to get that level of relationship. And a piece of what I'm doing, at least with myself personally, as well as with at least my therapy clients, is I'm helping to expand their sense of community, because they are a part of the natural community, not just their immediate family and their immediate friends. That our sense of belonging expands much further out than that.
I need to pick up my cat. My cat is calling me. 1 second.
Oh, okay. Cats are always welcome.
All right.
Boy or girl?
Boy. I got him.
Hi, buddy. Oh
Prince.
My gosh. Hi, Prince. He looks like a prince. What a handsome boy.
He's awesome. Good.
And now I've got a visual for the sound that I heard earlier.
Right. I take him on walks. I got this kitty holster thing and a leash. And we go on walks.
Kitty holster.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
And it's helped because around here, I live in an apartment complex. There's other cats. And if I didn't have the holster thing, then he could have gotten into some fights. So this way, I can prevent that from happening. And then it's a good bond when I think it's brought us closer since we're together. Instead of just, go outdoors, cat, go walk on your own. We're together, so we're a team. And it's I think it's developed more in a psychology.
So you've become a we.
Yeah.
It's not just you, and it's not just me, it's we.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty special.
But, and then with saying hi to some things, so someone doesn't have to go out to a plant and literally say hi. Although I hear it's good because it gives them carbon dioxide. If you actually talk to your plants, you're giving them carbon dioxide. But
is it reciprocity?
Yeah, but if you don't actually have to talk to them like you might say hi to a squirrel or a bird, but you can say hi in a different way by just your action and looking at it, seeing what it's like, caretaking it.
Yep. To me, acknowledgement, caretaking, I believe that on some level, all beings deserve to be acknowledged. We all have a place in the scheme of the world of all beings, and we all have a niche in the world. And to me, engaging in that dialogue or reciprocity, which I do talk to my plants. Every morning I go out and I'm like, good morning, P. Good morning, Angelica. Good morning, Delphinium. Good morning, Douglas fir. And
I have to admit, too, that I don't do it so much on purpose. It just happened kind of by accident. But if I'm out in the woods moving some stuff around, and I'm like a little careless and I scrape the bark of a tree, I actually
Mm-hmm.
find myself saying, "Sorry, tree."
I know, exactly,
It's like
totally,
it just comes out.
right,
Like, or
exactly.
I flip a log and I didn't see something, and this little sapling tree gets like partially crushed. I'm like, "No, sorry, tree."
Totally.
Yeah.
I know.
So
Yeah.
sorry, but yeah,
So
good.
I think we do naturally do that.
Yeah.
And I just, what if we actually did it on purpose?
Mm-hmm.
And what would happen to us? What would happen to the relationship? And I mean, who knows? It may or may not be measurable. What would happen to that being? We don't know. But I think it's better to be in a place of not knowing than it is to say, kind of like we were talking about earlier, oh, I know you.
Yeah.
I know that you don't feel anything. I know that you don't hear
Yeah.
me. I know. It's like, actually, no, we don't. So what if we stood in relationship in a place of, actually, I'm not quite sure, but engage in that anyway and just see what happens. It's all an experiment, and it's all about just about being in relationship and trying to connect to others and be in community and expand our sense of community and our sense of belonging in the world. And it helps. It helps.
People might be surprised. Like you're saying, I was thinking if you're out taking care of a garden and you're just taking care of the plants instead of, oh, look, there's a spider, kill it. There's an ant, kill it. Think, hey, ant. You don't even talk. Just say, ant, what are you doing here? It's like, what is your function? What is your role? How are you affecting things? Spider, what is your role? What are you doing here? How are you affecting things? And what was I thinking? Dang, there was I know some research I've heard about that now I forgot. I guess I'm like going brain dead or something. Um, but
I work with what I call the 6 elemental questions. And I work with these with some of the people that I teach as well as clients. And it's part of this dialogue and engagement and a part of engaging in the I thou relationship with others. And so those questions, and I actually got them from a relational dog trainer named Suzanne Clothier. And so those questions help to shape some of my dialogue and my engagement. So the first one actually is hello with a question mark. The second question is, who are you? Who are you as a species? And who are you as an individual? Because I have horses and each one of them are equines. So who are they as equines? Because working with an equine and engaging with an equine is different than engaging with a dog. But also, who are you as an individual? Because my horse Spirit as an individual is very different than my horse Moon.
yeah,
Right? So who are you? What is your worldview? How do you experience your world? How do you experience me? A third question is, how is this for you? Whatever I'm doing. If I'm gardening and I'm like digging a hole and I bump into a worm, how is this for you? For me to dig you out of your home. What is that like for you? And then to actually try on putting, just try it on. Just try on. We don't know what it's like because you can never truly be inside the mind and heart of another, no matter how much you try. But I think it's a healthy exercise in being other oriented to be like, how is this for you? If I'm petting my horse, how is this for you?
Because people should want other people to do that to them too.
Exactly.
You can't expect everyone to do that to you, but not do that to other people. It should be like win-win. We should both be doing it. Not really win-win, but that's just what came to mind at first to describe it. But you get the idea.
Well, it's reciprocal relationship.
Yeah. But anyway, go ahead with the questions. What?
Yeah. So those are good. Those are some of the good ones. The good first initial ones. There's 3 more, which is, can you? Question mark. Which is, can you do what I'm asking you to do, or can you do what I'm wanting you to do? And I use that especially when I'm working with people and dogs. A lot of people have not trained their dogs to do the things that they want them to do, but they still expect them to do them. It's like, can you actually do this even though I haven't trained you? So can you do what I'm asking you to do? The 5th question is, can I touch you? Can I lead you? Can I train you? Can I do this? Are you in a place to be able to do this with me? And the last question is, can we? Can we do this thing together, whatever that is? If I'm wanting just to take my dog for a walk, I may go through all of those questions and be like, can we? Now, I've assessed you. I'm taking you in. I'm taking your experience of me in. How was your day? You know, we all have bad days. Maybe your dog had a bad day. You know, it's fair to ask those questions. And then can we go together as one, where I'm actually taking your experience into consideration? It's not, I want to go for a walk, and so we're going to go.
Yeah, when I take my cat out, he leads.
Yeah. You know, he wants to go. Yeah. He's
sometimes,
like, yes, we can. Yes, we can.
We go out. Like, it was interesting. There's long time. I started taking him on walks one day. Then he's like walking around the apartment complex. Then one day, did you drop something?
I did.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I spilled some coffee earlier when I was teaching.
That's worse than mine. Yeah.
I still have my wet rag I used to clean stuff up to prevent stuff.
That's for next time too.
Yeah, but then one day, all of a sudden, it's like he didn't want to walk around. He just wanted to lie there. He's like, he'd go down the stairs. I'd carry him down the stairs, put him down, and then, so sometimes all he wants to do is lie in the grass and then go lie on the concrete and then lie somewhere else for like an hour. And then before he goes back outside, so if that's what you want to do, I'm not going to make you walk. We'll walk. I'll walk if you want to walk. We'll lie down if you want to lie down. Whatever you want to do.
How is this for you, right?
Yeah.
Can you? Can we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Always asking those questions. Totally.
And
it's a sweet way of being in a relationship.
And the thing I finally remembered with what you're saying, added more to it, thinking about asking the ant or asking the spider what they're doing. I think that'd help people learn to, as you're saying, relate to others better. I think it's interesting how someone I know was doing dog competitions and had a dog and was really taking care of the dog, feeding it well. And then one day she realized, I'm feeding the dog better than me. How can I eat better? Or or someone studies like gorillas in a zoo, and they see how when the gorillas, like, we're giving them these little cookies to eat and putting them in a box and they're unhealthy, but I don't want that. I want to take care of the gorillas in the zoo because I care about them. So I want a better enclosure for them. We want something more natural. We want to give them, okay, we can't get food from where they're from, but at least we get food that's more like what they eat in the wild. And then they think, whoa, like, shouldn't that apply to me too? Right. So if we start looking, sometimes if we look at people, if you try to change yourself by looking at your own behavior, it's not going to work. But if you start to look at animals and try to make them better, then you can apply that to your own self and to get along with other people. Interesting how that works sometimes. But it makes sense.
Well, eating and living and moving and being according to our human design. And to me, that's a part of what rewilding is. It's just looking at our human ecology. What are we designed to do? What kind of air are we designed to breathe? What water are we designed to drink? What food are we designed to eat? How are our bodies designed to move? What kind of light are we designed to be under? The sun, you know, all of those pieces is exactly what you're speaking to. I mean, we would do that for an animal in an enclosure. It's like, okay, if you're going to be in the zoo, like, I need to study your history, the ecology of you as a being, so I know how to make the best life for you. We too are a domesticated species, and it would behoove us to look at our own human ecology so we can be informed as to how it was we evolved and what our DNA is expecting from us.
Yeah, I think education needs to change too in the culture. A lot of chemistry, a lot of physics, but I think people just memorize it. They're not, because of the influence of Plato and some epistemology, bad epistemology and logic, it's not really taught as well as it should be. But I mean, it's like, I didn't know the stuff I know about epistemology at first either. It is not obvious, so it's not like I'm saying they're like inferior. It's like hard as hell to figure some stuff out. But I think the thing we need to do is do, you know, people know a lot about physics and electronics and chemistry, but look how much that's not helping. They need to get more biology and ecology in the culture and in education. I think it's like...
Well, there's difference between information and being in relationship. So if you can be in a relationship with the information, and how does that information affect my relationships, I think that there's more buy-in.
Yeah.
I'm having to move because my battery is about to die.
Okay.
I'm hoping my microphone will work on the computer.
Cool. And as some have said, I think Baron Heinrich, when I talked to him, as some have said, like, no one cares about a chemical, but everyone cares about animals. If you really want to get buy-in or really teach people biology and what matters,
right?
They should be looking at birds and animals and caring about them and starting there, not trying to start with DNA or whatever.
Right.
You know, besides, when are you ever going to use DNA in life? I mean, really use it? Never. Very few people actually do. But everyone needs to know stuff about and uses stuff about people, dogs, cats, birds, elm trees, the hackberry that I pass a lot out on the trail.
Nice. Yeah.
Kind of like what you were saying. Yeah, I got like certain plant friends I know when I'm out.
Yeah.
I run by them and see how they're doing today.
They work our way into us. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think they work our way into us, sometimes whether we try or not. And that's why I just think it's more potent. I mean, even when people that spend time outdoors, you had asked me earlier, what can people start to do? A lot of people, their approach to their interaction with nature is through recreation, which is grand. Because nature has her way of working through us, even when we are immersed in her, but even if we're not necessarily paying attention to her. And we all know that it feels good to do a good trail run or maybe a mountain bike expedition or whatever your flavor of outdoor recreation is, that those things are good for us and they're nourishing and they fill our battery, so to speak. And nature does play a part of that. But there's other means of interacting with nature that shift a little bit. And so that's why I do nature connection work with people and why I integrate that into my nature education and into my nature therapy, because that's different than nature recreation. That's actually employing that I-thou relationship with all the different aspects of nature, with slowing down and engaging in some level of relationship, paying attention and knowing about your ecology, knowing about the plants, knowing about the animals, knowing about the weather, how are they all connected, and what is my relationship with them? How do they all affect me and impact me? And doing that takes a little bit more intention. So people when I tell them about some of my services, they're like, well, I go outside all the time. I don't need you to say anything. I'm good. I got it. I mountain bike. I'm like, I believe you. But what I do with them, they don't do with themselves. They don't interact with the birds and the trees and pay attention to the weather changing and all of those pieces when they're by themselves. They just don't. Yeah. It wasn't a part of their upbringing. It wasn't modeled to them. It's not a part of their training, and it's not what they pay attention to. We don't have to pay attention to nature anymore because we live indoors. Even paying attention is recreational now. It's not survival based. We're in our human ecology, paying attention to tracks and to animals and to birds and what the birds are telling us about the environment and to the weather shifts. Our life depended on it. Our life doesn't depend on it anymore. And so we actually sometimes need another external force to keep us a little bit more accountable and to open up our senses in new and different ways and to be in relationship in new and different ways. And that's part of what I help people do. And it's hard. People want to go fast and they want to do what they do. We're habitual beings. We just want to move how we move and kind of move quickly through the landscape, and we don't really want to slow down. And I help people work with their body in that, because that's their nervous system being activated to doing something different, which is okay. It's okay to be uncomfortable. It's like we get uncomfortable before we get more comfortable outdoors. Just count on it. It's not always going to be pure blissful nourishment. That's not always what happens, and that's okay. And that's also a part of the teachings of nature too, is that learning to tolerate some discomfort is important too.
It's like the 4 stages of learning, as I like to put them. Technically speaking, there's what? Unconscious incompetence,
It,
then
yep, I teach
conscious incompetence, then conscious competence, then
unconscious
unconscious competence. But what I like to
competence.
say, I tell this to
Yep.
students sometimes, and I like to say, okay, first we're stupid and we don't know it. Then we're stupid and we realize it, like, because everyone knows that when we think we know something and our friends say something else and we're all embarrassed, or we think we can do something and we realize we can't. Everybody knows that feeling. And then we realize, oh yeah, okay, now I can work and do it. Okay, now I've mastered it. But yeah, that's it. You got to be the place where you're going to improve yourself, or where you have actually some challenge and life's not boring, is when we realize we're stupid and there's something to do. You know, the unconscious or the conscious incompetence. And as you say, we need someone else to help us see that. Like, so someone like you, people would need, because we don't know what we don't know. Or like what Rumsfeld says, there's the known knowns, the known unknowns, and then there are the unknown unknowns. There's no way we can figure out the unknown unknowns on our own a lot of times.
Right.
To some extent we can, like Darwin and Newton and some others, but we need someone else to help us, you know?
Yes,
what do you
we
think?
do.
Whether it's a butterfly or a bird or Kimberly.
We need each other.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
yeah.
And everybody offers something different, and we need each other. And we all have different gifts. We all have different affinities, and we need to be supported in those. I guess the piece around the nature piece is that, when I always say this, like, to me, again, I am looking through the lens of our human ecology, which is very old, millions of years old. When I say that nature is not a hobby, a lot of people, whether they know it or not, they approach our relationship with nature as if it's like a cute little hobby.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you like to spend time outdoors, and I
like to play video games.
Yeah. Right, and I like the video games. Like, that's just your preference. And it's like, to me, and I've said this before, it's like saying, well, some people like water and some people don't. Like, water isn't negotiable.
That's a good way to put it.
It's a non-negotiable. It's a nutrient that every human being needs. And to me, nature is the same thing. Nature is not a hobby. And so I help people understand that by teaching pieces of our historical context, of them realizing that this is how you evolved. This is what your body and your DNA expects from you. Can you survive indoors? Yes, because we are probably the most adaptable species on the planet, and we are adapting to practically living indoors. I am also in the field of seeing the impact of that.
Yeah.
So
not every adaptation is positive.
Yeah. Right. So in what we do is to help people. I want to help people thrive. I don't want people to just barely make it. And by surviving means doing and living in a way that at least has some level of overlap with who we are as Homo sapiens, which means that nature on some level needs to be a piece of that. It's not just because it's your personal hobby. That's why people run to the hills and to the mountains whenever they have time off. Like, we go to nature because even the city folk, they go to nature whenever they can get off, because it's like a biological imperative to go in that direction whenever we can. And we just kind of get so busy in our day to day. And I'm like, we can incorporate this in small parts into our busy world. And sometimes that may not even mean spending a ton more time outside. It might mean improving your quality of attention when you are. Even if you're literally walking from your house to your vehicle, there's a lot that happens between your home and your vehicle that you are not noticing and not paying attention, I promise. What if you just paid attention in a different way, and you paid attention to the beings, you paid attention to the plants, what the birds are saying when you walk out the door, because chances are the birds are probably responding to your presence. What are they saying about you? And just being able to pay attention in that way. And to me, those are little nourishing pieces that people can weave in to their life on a daily basis. And then anything above that is just going to continuously improve their physical and psychological health.
Yeah, I deal with the same issue basically in teaching all different subjects. As I tell kids, I have 2 fists, I have 2 feet. Bruce Lee had 2 fists and 2 feet, but he could kick my ass in 30 seconds because of how he used them.
Yeah.
Or I could get a tennis racket, I have 2 hands and 2 feet. Roger Federer has 2 hands and 2 feet and a tennis racket, but he'd throw me all over the court and the game would be over in like 5 minutes because of how he does it. People need to pay more, not get carried away with the what, but think about how they're doing something mentally too.
Yeah.
Not just
Totally.
how you're doing a martial art, but how are you thinking? What's the process? What's the method? How? How is critical.
You bet.
How are you walking outside? Like you were saying, someone can, I get outside, I'm riding my bicycle. Well, how are you doing it? How are you interacting with the trees and the plants and the animals and birds? How are you paying attention?
Which is shifting from unconscious competence. People have a competence of being able to walk from their house to their car.
Yeah.
Right? But can they do it in a conscious competence way?
Unless they're on their cell phone.
Unless they're on yeah. That's true. Well, that's rule number 1. Put it down. Even for 5 minutes a day, put it down. The dings will still be there when you come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's possible for everybody, no matter what you're doing. And I think the whole I'm busy. I also kind of think that's an overused thing. We all do what we value, period. And we all, if I'm really working with somebody and if I dissect their time and how they spend their time, it's not that they don't have time to spend a little bit more time outdoors. It's that they choose to maybe go shopping instead of going outdoors.
Yeah.
So to me, it's about doing what you value. And I think when you help somebody build relationship with nature, then the nature becomes more of a value that then they want to spend more time with. It's not so much that people don't have the time. People have the time. They're doing something. If you look at their daily life, they're doing things that can be rearranged. They're just doing what they want. But if I help them build relationship, they often will switch that and they'll spend more time outdoors.
Or like you say, okay, you don't have enough time, but are you doing just a bunch of stuff or are you trying to thrive? And if you really want to thrive, you got to get outdoors.
Yep.
I know that's helped me too.
Sure.
I know when I'd be like, okay, like there was one time when I was doing private tutoring a long time ago. I started at 6:30 in the morning one day and finished at like 2:30 in the morning. I wouldn't do that anymore. No way. I say no. There's a cutoff. I'm sleeping. I'm not going to work past 8, 9. I'm not going to start. I prefer not to start until 10 or 11. I don't care. It's like, and I'm doing better when I do this than when I did that. Okay, I'll work and do the sleep deprivation thing, and I'm busy. No, it's like there's that. We're not simple, linear systems. We're not sophisticated, but complex, dynamic feedback systems. Like some people want to take away recess. We got to have the students in elementary school smarter, doing better on their tests. They take away recess. But if we were linear, simple machines, it might work, but we're not. There's all this complex, dynamic feedback. Without the recess, or without more time with their friends and family, they're not going to do that as well.
Yeah, they need the release.
Yeah, need to get outdoors.
And I think it's also important to take into consider access for people. And for some people, they do have to work literally 3 to 4 jobs, and that isn't so. Again, this is all incredibly contextual, person to person, community to community, and there are communities and people that don't have time access and that don't have physical access. If they live in the city, I mean, granted, I always say nature is everywhere, and that is accurate. Simultaneously, their health is desiring more of that, but they may not have actual access to it. They don't live near any kind of open space. Some people are physically disabled and like physically struggle with doing these pieces. So there's, I don't like to make blanket statements about everything. It's like any question I could say, it depends.
Yeah.
And in this case, it does depend. And most people have the capacity to kind of re-examine some pieces, and at least if it's not time-wise, it could be quality-wise. Mm-hmm. That's just part of what I encourage people to do. Taking into respect their individual context and circumstances, because some people are trapped or don't have access or are marginalized or whatever their context is. And so, and how can I help people work with that?
Yeah. It'd be nice if instead of spending money on some of the stuff he did, if maybe like Bill Gates or some other people would like rewild some places and add some gardens and add a little park here and park there. And
yep.
So some people have 3 or 4 jobs. Well, maybe if they had a garden in their yard and a community garden, they could eliminate one of those jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Someone
green spaces are good for people. So yeah, community gardens, green spaces, anything that can be improved.
Yeah.
In shapes it makes a big difference psychologically and for the wellness of the community for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Does someone need the phone soon?
Yeah, he's getting the phone soon.
Okay. See the cowboy hat back there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Next.
Yeah.
Coming to do a phone thing.
Right. And by rewilding, you don't mean giving up technology and everyone goes out and living without human thought or technology at all, right?
That is correct. Yeah.
Some people,
they
hear rewilding and they make something up about what it really means and don't quite get it or want to get it, I guess.
This is not charging. No, we wouldn't be able to do this, right? We wouldn't be able to share and help others in the ways that we do. I mean, nothing of what I do is a diatribe against a lot of the gifts of modern technology. Again, I just think it's about equality of how we're interacting with things. What is our relationship, even with technology? What is our relationship with the birds? What is our relationship with the people in our life? What is our relationship with technology? How can we find balance in those pieces? Mm-hmm. And I think that's all part of the overall health. Yeah, it's not, we're not running off back into the woods. We can't, there's too many of us.
Yeah. And then unfortunately, a lot of them wouldn't know how to survive.
That is correct. We've kind of, our awareness and our survival skills have definitely atrophied.
As I like to say sometimes, like when I'm talking to some students to make a point, it's like, if I was stranded on a desert island, I would take a 5-year-old so-called primitive kid any day over a 20 or 30-year-old modern American.
Yep. Yeah, you bet. Much more aware, much more skillful, for sure.
Yeah, a lot of survival skills.
Yeah. Yep.
But we'll let you kind of wind down since someone's got to use the phone soon. Make sure you got some of the stuff charged up and everything. Get that taken care of so you're not caught like unprepared. But
yeah, we can't be cutting clients in the middle of the session. So.
Yeah. But cool. Any last words for folks? Any recommendations or anything, Kimberly?
Go outside and say hello to somebody and then listen. Just try it on. Say hello with a question mark. Listen and just begin some more relationships and dialogues with your surroundings. Regardless of where you live, There are more beings to interact with. There's more community to be a part of. You are a part of your bioregion. You belong there. We belong here. We belong on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
We are not alien to this planet. We are animals here designed to connect with other animals. And I think just reestablishing those relationships in an intentional way can be a pretty powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Go out, just walk out your door and say hello to somebody that you've never greeted before and just see what happens.
Cool. Awesome. It was good to talk to you. Great.
Yeah,
Enjoyed it.
thanks. I've enjoyed this a lot.
Good.
I appreciate
Cool.
your time.
Cool. Maybe we can do another conversation in the future. Talk about, there's so much more could have asked about. Be nice to talk about dogs and horses and more.
For sure.
But,
yeah, absolutely. We can do that anytime.
Cool. But
That'd be fun.
cool. All right. Hope you enjoyed that, folks. Great conversation there about nature and the outdoors and our psychology and our nature. So, everyone, get out and enjoy the outdoors, please. Take care of it. Love it. Love yourself. Love each other. Those who deserve it.
Amen.
All right. Thanks again, folks. Y'all enjoy.